Are you an overwhelmed SaaS founder ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those you don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where it's not about going to a party. It is celebrating life as a party. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. Well, here we are on the downhill slope of the year. I got an email from some listeners on a corporate ski outing this week. So thank you, Rob, Brian, Jenny, Karen, Paul, and Isaac. Hope you guys had a fantastic time out there on the slopes. And it is definitely a season of celebration, lights, tree lighting, festivals, and parties for sure. So enjoy. Be sure to let your clients and your team know how awesome they are, especially this time of year, but always. This is also the time of year where it's easy to slow down in our business and just kind of coast into the end of the year. I've been in SaaS land a long, long time, and I can tell you this is a great time to not coast, but to accelerate into the new year. I can't tell you how many big enterprise SaaS deals we've signed in December. It's easily hundreds over the years. So let your competitors coast, but focus in and stay engaged. And I'm certainly not suggesting being annoying during the holiday season. Nobody wants that. And that would be completely counter to my entire sales philosophy. But it is a great time to engage, add value, and boost relationships with those prospects and with your clients as well. Do that really well, and revenue will follow and take care of itself. So don't coast, stay engaged. Cool? In last week's episode, we talked with David Bonney, founder and CEO of 45.io. It's a SaaS platform to supercharge your sales force. It combines sales methodology and technology for faster adoption, increased close rate, and to boost your scalability, which of course we all want. But whether you use the tech or not, David had great insights to keep revenue flowing year-round. If you missed it, be sure to go back and check it out. My guest this week is Corina Ludwig, president of FunctionFox, a leader in timesheet and project management software, specifically for creative professionals worldwide. Now in their 22nd year, FunctionFox helps clients with productivity, profitability, and workflow management. Corina is the visionary and strategist, and some might say that she's the glue that keeps the company together. And using her, we'll just say many years of experience in SaaS, HR, and marketing, she helps teams save time, boost productivity, and increase profitability, which is super important in today's business environment. On top of that, she is a dog mom to 3 Great Danes, which is awesome. I love dogs. Most of you know that. And she's also quite the baker and cake designer. Who doesn't love cake, right? But get ready for creativity, business savvy, and tasty growth nuggets. Give a warm, right out of the oven welcome to Corina Ludwig. Well, hey, Corina, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Thanks. Yeah, great to be on the show.
Well, tell me a little bit about your experience and where you've come from and how you came up with the idea for FunctionFox.
Yeah, so FunctionFox has been around now for 22, 23 years, and it was really stemmed out of the idea from creative professionals really looking to track time and build their clients easier. And, 22 years ago, it was still pen and paper. We were doing things in Excel. And it's my background. I went to school in graphic design, and there was never really a great way to keep track of that, creative side, definitely on the art side, and right brain, left brain, and never really wanting to track the time or do the profitability side of things. You just really want to stay creative. And so we found that there was a need for creative people to be able to do that easier and more efficient. And so we built a company around it. And it was not just my idea. It was a combination of a few people getting together, and those people still together today, 20 years later, and helping creative professionals around the world manage their time, increase their profitability. So it's been a great ride.
That's fantastic. And you're exactly right about the need for that. And so many creative, and that's true in the software space as well, in billing time. Mm-hmm. I've had great creative people, video editors, and things like that they do a bunch of work and then don't bill. And I'm asking them, hey, where's the invoice? Because, nothing happens until they get paid.
Yeah.
So it's such an important function.
And if you can be doing your creative stuff and be profitable and increase the billable hours, then all the power to you. You can actually, make a living from doing what you're doing, which is ultimately the end game for most people.
Right. That's an important function. Well, if you think back 20 years ago, SaaS was something that was relatively new or unheard of. Tell me about that. I mean, how did you launch that model and continue forward kind of in the SaaS space?
Yeah, and SaaS wasn't a thing, right? It wasn't a word back then. It was ASP. It was just after the .com bust, and people weren't even doing online banking. So to have people we launched a web-based business back then, and to have someone launch a web-based business and then have them trust you with their data, that was really weird. We were doing dial-up walkthroughs at the time. So, consider that, right? So doing a walkthrough over, dial-up, and fax machines were still around at that point. So if you think about, people were just getting into online banking, and we were launching a web-based business. And that was pretty unheard of in those times. And so our biggest challenge at that point was, getting people online and getting them to put their data online. So there's been lots of challenges over the years. I mean, obviously that was a big one to start off with. And then there was the recession came in, obviously more recently COVID, and how people were functioning remotely. And we've definitely been a great benefit to that in terms of helping employees and clients around the world. But yeah, it's been different challenges over the years, and we've had a great time sort of navigating through those speed bumps.
So how do you overcome those challenges, especially in an environment like that where you're asking people to trust you with their data? How do you build that trust so that they feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I mean, at that time we said, we have the same level of encryption as the banks, and we did. You get certified and you have all the right mechanisms in place to build that trust. And then it's also referral driven. So referrals have always been great for us. And it's, if their neighbor's using it, or another client, or one of their fellow sort of colleagues in the industry, then there's already some guaranteed trust that someone else is doing it. And sometimes it's just starting off small. So we'd say, start off with one client or one project, we can help you through it. And then it's just becoming more comfortable, and it became easier and easier. But whenever there's a challenge or something that comes up, it seems really big at the time. And then looking back, it's like, well, that was pretty easy. Of course, you can say that in, hindsight. But I think COVID's, one of those things as well as, the whole world really shut down. But, fast forward 2 years, 2.5 years later, we're all managing, right? So I think it's just how you adapt to those and how you see through those challenges.
And so what have been some of the other challenges that you've had to adapt to?
Yeah, I think the recession and just people not spending money, right? When you're trying to sell a product at a time when people are really tight in terms of their purse strings, really sort of being able to say, okay, yeah, we can help you during that. Or if someone's having a tough time and, they're laying off staff and they're considering closing their business, that's not a time to be selling a product. So we try to shift in those times and say, you know what, we're here to help. We'll give you the product free for 3 months. And we did that with a lot of cases where they're having challenges. And then, coming out after that, when they are more profitable, we're there still to help them. And we've seen great success by doing that.
So managing through a recession is something a lot of companies have not done, especially founders that have just started in the last 3, 4, 5 years. What advice would you give for managing through a recession?
Yeah.
And continuing to grow, even when the economy maybe is shrinking?
Yeah. And I think it's taking it day by day. I think, depending on where you are in your business, if you're just starting out and you're not profitable yourself, that's a really tough position to be in. And of course, we were there for many years in the beginning. We weren't sure if we were able to make payroll for the end of the month. There was people that remortgaged their houses to kind of make the business run. Like, we did things that were, I think, pretty drastic to make sure that the business was viable. So it's really taking it day by day and saying, okay, can we pay this vendor? Can we do a trade or a deal? I mean, we did a lot of that early days and kind of to make our dollars stretch farther. If you're not, VC backed, or if you're not fully funded by someone else, then you've got to work with what you have and just be really resourceful in terms of how you're using your expenditures. If you're during that and you're sort of looking for what do I do next, I would just say, take it day by day and look at every expense. Is it a want or is it a need? And how can you help someone that potentially might come back to you later? And it's not just about, getting that back, but it's also just having an impact in the world and say, okay, how can I help with profitable growth? So if you can help them be more profitable, in our case, time tracking, project management, increasing their billable hours helps them be more profitable. And when they're more profitable, they're going to be able to give back in terms of, continuing to pay for our service, which ultimately will help us. So, sometimes it's a time thing, but in the long run, it's just day by day.
And once they have a solution like yours, they'll never want to go back to the old way again. So I think that makes it really sticky, right?
Yeah, it's really easy, right? People are like, it's changed my business. It's increased our profitability. So we've heard great testimonials and we're really proud of sort of how we've been able to help change businesses. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
So what were the key client acquisition strategies that you used in the beginning, and how have those changed over time?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, it was really about who do we know? So it was going out in the market and saying, okay, who are people that were friends or family or colleagues that we knew would, at least try things out and become beta testers. And so we reached out to our local network. And then it was really word of mouth. So we put a referral program in place, and we still have one in place today. And it's one of our best channels in terms of marketing. But it's really, taking it one client at a time, one conversation at a time, and saying, who do you know? Who do you think this would be a good fit for? And just sort of spreading that out. And we call it spreading the love, getting additional foxes to our team. But it's through employee referrals, it's through client referrals, it's networking, it's being out in the community and talking to people and being out there so that people, not just brand awareness, but they actually know about your product. And we have a free product, so giving it out for free and letting people test it. And as their business grows and becomes more profitable, then, their business grows where they can take on more staff and eventually upgrade to more cost-effective products for them.
And I love the name FunctionFox, and you referred to, attract more foxes. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about the origin of the name and then your team.
Yeah, so early days, we were actually called F5 or Function 5, and it was based on the F5 key on your keyboard. So functionality and shortcut to profitability was sort of the idea of it. And there was another company at the time also called F5. And we thought early days, this is not good. People are getting us confused. And we like the alliteration of function. So we said we could be like Function Beaver. We were on Beaver Lake Road at the time. Function Beaver, Function Ferret. And then Function Fox was really cool. We liked that because of not only the alliteration, but just smart and clever, and it had something that people could visually relate to. So a fox, there's some sly, sleek between there, and there's also some cute and lovable, and I think people have really resonated with that. And so yeah, we have fox fans, we have foxes on our team, but it's been really helpful for us. It's sometimes hard to say Function Fox, and people don't get that, but over the years, I think it's been a great name, and it's survived for 20 years. So yeah, we're happy with it.
And you still have team members that have been with you since the beginning.
Yeah, over 85% of our team has been with us for about 7 years or more. Most of the team members are over 10 years. Depends on sort of when you listen to this webinar, but we've had really good, solid team members. And of course, we've had, ones that have come and go for sure. We've also had people that have come and asked for their job back. There's 11 of those. And so, there's something that we're doing right. I think it's just treating people right and making sure that it's not just, they're not a number at your company. They're actually what's making your business sort of survive and be successful. And so I think having the focus on the employees and making sure that they're happy and, have access to benefits and great salaries. And, I wouldn't say that we're one of the highest ones for sure, definitely not compared to some other companies, larger companies out there, but we do what we can and have the best culture that we can given our circumstances.
I think that's really important that retention, especially employee retention, client retention as well, but employee retention in particular is a really hot topic and has been the past 6 months, a year. So retaining employees like that is fantastic. What type of role do you think culture has played in doing that?
Yeah, I think it's, our culture has shifted over the years depending on who we have on our team. In the early days, I think we had a lot of younger people. Now, 20 years later, those people are still there. So they're older and they have family and kids. And so the priorities have changed from having more parties and unlimited booze and that kind of stuff to being able to have, functions where their kids are considered or more flexibility in their jobs, right? So now there's more people working from home. We're a 100% remote team. So the ability for them to be at home and to tend to their family and have more flexible schedules in terms of making sure that they can get the kids to school or pick them up after school. That has changed, where in the early days, that wasn't the case. It was like, everyone's at the office for a set period of time. And so I think it's just looking at who you have on your team and adapting and making sure that you're helping them, set goals and realize their goals, whether that's inside of work or outside of work, and giving them the opportunities to grow and learn and develop, not just in their job, but also, personally and professionally.
So was the work from home model something that you implemented prior to the pandemic, or was that kind of the driver behind going that direction?
Yeah, both. So prior to the pandemic, there was 25% of our group was remote, and it started naturally like that. So we hired one of our senior members, someone that I had worked with in a previous company. We were looking for someone for a customer success team. And I'm like, oh, I need someone like Solvay. Solvay was great and had worked with her for many years. So I called her and said, hey, who do you know? And she was actually happened to be available at that time. So she's been remote from day one, which is, was never our intention. But it was the right person. And so obviously that worked for us, and she's still remote. And then over the years, we've had some people that have moved for family or other reasons in terms of just their makeup. And so we've decided to say, yeah, we would love to keep you on board. And this is how we're going to do it remotely. And this is how it's going to work. And then the pandemic came, and obviously everyone went remote, and we sort of surveyed our staff and said, how many people would actually want to come back to the office? No one really full time. There was maybe only one or two. And then the rest of the people were like 2 to 3 times a week. Is it worth keeping our large building for that? And we owned our building for that. So we've actually seen that a lot of people have, added to their profitability by actually letting go of their building, which is one thing that we did. And so we had a co-working space that people could go to if they wanted to get out of the home. But yeah, now 100% of the team's remote, and we have no plans to go back at this point. Just meeting, here and there if people want to get together to more culturally. But the culture has shifted for sure. And I think you just have to, as a leader, you have to be mindful of that and really ebb and flow with your team.
Now, how do you keep that culture intact when people are remote and not together as much?
Yeah, I wrote a great article on this. There's, probably about 50 different things that we've done. Everything from, and I think it's adapting to your team. So we do a weekly optional check-in. So anyone can join. It's just a half-hour session where we just, really just shoot the shit on whatever topics. And it's not normally work-related. It's just water cooler kind of talk. And I think that's been helpful for the people that want that interaction. And then there's other people that don't really want that. So they come to the monthly meeting or they come to their weekly department meeting. And that's enough for them. And then we'll do things on the side. If someone's personally doing something in the industry, we'll go and support them. Or we'll have small groups that will gather. Now we're a little bit more diverse or dispersed. And so we'll gather in various cities to get people together. So I think it's coming up with things that will work for everyone. We sent, for one of our birthdays, our 20th anniversary, we sent everyone pies to their home. So everyone got a pie at the same time.
Nice.
And, it's things like that, or celebrating birthdays and, nothing too out there, but just taking the time to focus on the staff and go, okay, what would people like? So Halloween, we sent everyone a Halloween, trick or treat basket. it's cheesy, but it's fun, right? Like who doesn't like to receive candy in the mail? So
Sure. Oh, that's great. I love the remote model because you really can hire the right person no matter where they are. And so it just really opens up that talent pool.
Absolutely.
So you really build a great team. So as you're building the team, are you looking at more, specific functionality or specific, roles, or is it, are you hiring, for specific, I guess, capabilities, or is it, we want, great people and you train them in the specific role?
It's been all of the above. So sometimes if it's like a development role or a tech role, they need to have some prior knowledge. Actually, that's not true because we've hired people and we've moved them into that role and kind of built them up. But it depends on the role. So we've hired for sales where they really had no sales experience, and it was really based on the person and what their aptitude was and attitude. That's always big for us. I think you can always add the skills onto it. So we hired a chef, for example, who had never been in an office before, had done some phone work just as a volunteer thing, but ended up being one of our top salespeople. And so I look at that as something, where they've got the desire and they've got the aptitude and the attitude to do it. This has been really great. And then we've hired people, for example, in customer service, and they have an interest in development. So we'll give them a couple projects, or they'll say, hey, can I take that on? Sure. And we'll have, we'll team them up with someone that's more technically involved and help them sort of migrate to that. So we've had people that have come in through sales, gone to service, then from service gone to dev, and, grow up from there. So it's been great to really look at the person themselves and move them to whatever is best in terms of their personal growth, not just fitting the role and only hiring for that. I think we've been very flexible in that regard.
That's really good. And it gives a much more well-rounded team because you have somebody in dev that understands sales, that understands client services, that has been in those roles. So it's not something that they're just completely isolated where somebody's generating some code and throwing it over the fence and never interacting with clients.
Yeah, no, they get it. And they understand each of the roles, so they know how it impacts them. And I think that gives them the greater flexibility to kind of make the right decisions.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to ask Corina about the biggest lessons that she learned in building FunctionFox and how that applies to your SaaS business right after this.
Today's episode is sponsored by Small Fish, Big Pond, building a world-class business that swims circles around competitors. Why do some companies achieve explosive growth while others sink into the depths? What do exceptional SaaS companies do that mediocre companies don't? What can SaaS leaders learn from fish? Small Fish, Big Pond delivers powerful business lessons guaranteed to change the way you view your business and includes hands-on exercises and growth tools to get lightning-fast results. Get your copy today at smallfishbigpond.com and use the code SaaSFuel to unlock special bonus content.
And we are back with Corina Ludwig, president of FunctionFox. And Corina, tell me about the biggest lessons you've learned in building a SaaS company.
Yeah, I think there's some really good ones. And some of them are pretty simple, but at the end of the day, they're really important looking back. So I'll give you my top 10. So top 10, top 10 would be vision and purpose. I think that's self-explanatory, but sometimes people don't have that. Like, why are you there? And what is the purpose? What is your why? And how are you going to get there? First and foremost, always really important. Number 2 is being niche focused. I think some people try to be everything for everybody. We've been very niche focused, and that has been great for us. So I'd highly recommend that. Number 3, hire better people. So hire really good people, hire slow, and fire fast. People will make or break your business. So
it's really good advice.
Really, really important. Number 4, say yes, and then figure out how to get there later on. So just
I love
be
it.
confident and go, yeah, we can do that, even if you don't know how. Number 5, obviously the metrics are really important. So know your KPIs and then follow them, really watch them. The finances are going to make or break your business as well. So that's really important. Number 6, focus on what you're doing and not what everyone else is doing. I think it's really easy to get mired in that world of, our competitors are doing this, we should do this. Just stay niche focused, focus on what you're doing, stay stay with the same strategy or shift strategies if you need to, but be very mindful of where you're going. And then number 7 is sort of back to people, but surround yourself with great team members, great mentors. Don't feel like you have to do it all yourself. Really, it's a team effort. You're much greater as a team. So make sure you have the right people around you. Number 8, focus on people and culture. I can't say that enough. People will stay with you if they're treated well and if they're in the right group. Obviously, you've heard that people leave their managers, they don't leave their jobs. So make sure you've got the right people in place. Number 9, just be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. Just be genuine and ask for help when you need it. And then the last one is, just have a great product, have the right pricing, make sure that you're selling the right thing to the right people and really listen to your customers. And happy customers at the end of the day are also going to make or break your business. So those would be my top 10 for the last 20 years. Short and sweet, but hopefully helpful.
That is fantastic. If there's something to go back and listen to again, this is the segment to go back and get those top 10. And we'll make sure and list those in the show notes as well. So really good. So what role have mentors played in your success?
Yeah, so early days, I think there's people that will come in and, they say it's for a reason or a season or a lifetime, right? And so there's been people on our team that have been there for 20 years. And of course, they've had the biggest impact on the business. Then there's people that have come in just very short, whether they're a mentor or a guide or a coach that we've hired that have said, here's where you are, here's where you want to be. Have you tried this strategy? And sometimes it takes an outside perspective to really look on that, read the label on the outside of the bottle and kind of you're in that bottle and looking out and you can't always see the label on the outside. So sometimes it's good to have a fresh perspective. Sometimes it's not what you want to hear. And of course, we've sort of said, no, I don't really believe in that. And then you come back to it and go, actually, that's good, solid advice. And you do sort of shift. So those have been helpful. And then just being a mentor yourself to other people, I think that also has helped in terms of when you're teaching others, you learn from that. So really helping, what are your guiding principles? What are your goals? What's your vision? And if you can help other people, sometimes that actually resonates back to you. So I've done a lot of mentorship with a lot of other people in the industry. And I think that's actually been helpful in growing our business.
That's great. So what is a popular myth maybe about being an entrepreneur or misconception that's just not true?
Freedom. So I think, people are like, oh, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to have all this time and, it's going to be a super easy life. And I think that's a misconception that some people have. It's a hell of a lot of work. It's way more than we ever expected. It's long days. You're thinking about work. You're sleeping about work. I dream about work. If that's not what you're looking for and that's not what you want, eventually, yes, maybe there's freedom at the end of the game, but you have to really enjoy it. It's kind of like kids. They're there all the time, right? It's not just, you can't just hang them up and go and do something else.
Right.
It's the same thing with running a business. It's worrying about the team and it's worrying about the revenue, especially early days. It's where are you getting your clients from? It's how are you going to market it? All of those challenges come in and you can't just shut that off at 5:00. So I think the biggest misconception is, oh, I'm going to start my own business so I have more time. I think it's the opposite.
I think you're exactly right, especially for most entrepreneurs. That's where they start, is they think that it's going to be a freeing thing, and we can get there, but it certainly doesn't start that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for a lot of people, they never get to that point of freedom. So as you continue to grow and expand, you've been around for a long time. How have you taken on bigger competitors? And so you talked about being niche focused, very tight in what you do. And how do you take on bigger competitors that maybe have really broad solutions?
Yeah, great question. And so, we've got competitors that are spending millions a month on marketing. We're not spending millions. So how do you compete in a market like that? You've got to be creative. And thankfully, we focus on the creative market. So we do things a little differently. We, where they might do lots of digital advertising on Google, we don't have the budget to sort of compete in the top spaces. we're going to do it different. So we've done direct mail. We've actually hitched up with some of our competitors and said, hey, do you want to share leads? You focus on really large agencies. We focus on really small agencies. Do you want to trade leads? And we've done a lot of really good sort of work with our competitors, frienders, as we call them, really vendors in the field that have become great friends because we're in the same space. We focus on the same market. We have the same target market. Let's work together, right? And I think that's, small fish, big pond, really working in the same pond with your competitors because you're going to be there at the end of the day with them. So you might as well support each other as opposed to, trying to eat all the fish.
That's really good advice. Co-opetition.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
So where do you see the industry going, say, over the next 5 years?
Yeah, over the next 5 years, I would see a lot of consolidation. I think there's so many players in the market. Early days when we started out, we were like one of 5. We were one of the first SaaS businesses to launch. But now there's hundreds. Not every one of them is focused on creative. But I think there's going to be a lot of, we see that the M&A sort of coming in and consolidating some of the bigger players and putting them together and really making a strong, really good products that have full capabilities where there's lots of smaller products that focus only on a couple of things. So that's where I see the industry going. We'll see if I'm right.
One of the things you mentioned in lessons that you learned is build a really good product. How do you do that in collaboration with clients?
Yeah, so we call them wow moments, and collaboration with clients is, okay, we look at, here's what we want to sell. And if we can land a client because of something that we put in that we believe is going to help at least 50% of the other clients, we'll build it. And sometimes it's something small and it doesn't take long and we can land that client for that reason. Early days, for example, we had a client that said, hey, if you put a stopwatch in your system, we'll buy. So of course we built the stopwatch and now it's used by thousands of people around the world. And, you look at something like that, it's small and it's simple and it's pretty straightforward, but it's going to help lots of other people. And you really have to listen to your clients. And so when someone comes and says, hey, we'd like this, we put it in as part of a feature request. And then we prioritize all those features that come in and say, okay, well, big group of people is looking for this. And if we were to add that in, how long would that take? And we prioritize those features. And then we develop those and put them out and hopefully retain clients, obviously to lower churn and also to gain new clients in terms of acquisition.
One of the other ones that you mentioned was KPIs and tracking those. What are the KPIs that you measure and how has that changed over time as you've continued to grow?
Yeah, I think in the early days, the finances are really tight. And so not just the bank balance, but how you're getting there. And we track things on paper when we started, right? Like we actually have a Excel sheet of our clients. And I look back and it was kind of funny days at that time. But now I think it really depends on your business. I think some general ones obviously are LTV, so lifetime value of your clients, your CAC, so your ratios in terms of what you're spending and what you're getting back. Those are pretty standard. In terms of sales KPIs, I think those ones like calls, duration, things that you can measure that are quality ones. So not just how many calls, but the length and duration of those calls and, your conversion rates, obviously. So if there's small percentages that you can modify over the years, that's great. So if your conversion rate is 20% or 40% or 60%, how can you get that even just a couple percentages higher, from demo to trial to sale? And knowing those numbers, you can say, okay, we need to change this on our website to get a higher conversion. Or maybe it's you look at your sales reps and go, okay, why is this person converting at 70% or whatever the number is, and this person's converting at 20%? What are they saying differently? What are they doing differently? And try to help bridge that gap between them. And so I think, you can't focus on all the KPIs at once. So we always tackled something and then sort of got that going and made sure that it was working and continued to track it. And then we moved on to the next thing. And so now, we have dashboards of all the KPIs and it's really easy to see. And then we've actually put colors against them. And this comes from Rockefeller Habits. So, red, yellow, green, we've added a platinum, really easy to see across the dashboard. Every single KPI has a color beside it. So are we a green dashboard, a yellow dashboard, or a red dashboard, or we platinum? So we put in that silver and,
Nice.
So we're looking to hit those. And then we reward the team, sometimes depending on what the KPIs are, whether it's a team goal. We said to the team, okay, if we get X% growth for our company, we're going to take the entire team to Vegas. So we did. We took them and all their spouses to Vegas, and it was a lot of fun. But if your team can be part of those KPIs and can help generate what the targets are, you'll find that the whole team sort of migrates together to make those happen. And so everyone's working together, not just in silos.
That's great. So you've built a pretty good sales team. I think you have, is it 10 salespeople?
We've fluctuated over the years. We have a smaller sales team right now, and we're good with that. I think it's been really focused on how many leads we've had. We've also had, we had a really junior sales team at one point. And so there was a lot of training and a lot of upkeep. And some of those moved on, and we're happy with some of those. Other ones we've kept for a long time. Now we've got a really qualified sales team. So everyone on our team is more than 6 years.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
Yeah, for sales, it definitely is. I think, sales tends to rotate quite quickly, but most have stayed, 2 or 3 years at least. And now everyone's sort of over 6. And so they're really a really good, solid sales team. They have tons of industry knowledge. They can help our clients really well. And they can actually take on more than some of the junior ones. So we found that, having senior salespeople that have been in our business for a long time has worked out really well for us.
Well, that's fantastic, because that was really the question is, what is it that makes a great sales team?
I think it's people first, right? If they can help your clients and they can really listen, not just sell, how much are you talking? We always say that. How much are you talking? And how much is the client talking? And there's tools to measure that if you're interested in that. There's some great ones out there. But for us, it's really listening to what our clients' needs are and helping them find the right solution, even if it's not our solution. So that's where working with competitors really helps. They say, we're looking for A, B, and C. And we say, well, we have A, but we don't have B and C. So we think you should, go with this product. And they do, or sometimes they do, and they say, you know what, it didn't work out for us, and they come back to us. So I think it's just being, having the right people to find the right solution for the clients.
So if you were going to start a company today, what would be the one lesson that you would want to bring forward, or give somebody else, one piece of advice to give somebody else if they're starting today?
Think twice.
That is great advice.
Yeah. I think, you really have to be in it for the long haul. Don't think that you can have a successful business overnight. I mean, there's a few unicorns out there for sure, but it's a long haul game, right? So you're not going to see profitability. If you're lucky, maybe you'll see it in the first 3 years. Usually it's closer to 5 years. And after that, it's a lot of heartache. Like it's really talk to people in the industry. It's kind of the same thing like having kids, and I don't have kids, but you think it's going to be amazing, and then it's a hell of a lot of work. So good luck.
And it's amazing too.
Yeah.
But absolutely the work. I love that. Think twice. That is really, really good advice. So if you look back, over FunctionFox and say, we look forward 5 years, what do you want people to take away if they think about FunctionFox? What is one thing you want to stick in their mind, about the company, about you as a leader?
Yeah, for us, it's always striving for leadership excellence. It's in our product, in our company, in our staff, and at the end of the day, helping our clients. So I think the biggest takeaways that our clients have had is it's increased profitability for their business. And at the end of the day, helping companies have profitable growth, having an impact on their companies, and eventually helping everyone get to that financial freedom. That's been our greatest growth and our greatest, I think, hopefully legacy for people.
That's fantastic. Well, where can people learn more about you and FunctionFox online?
Yeah, easy. So functionfox.com, really easy. You can check out a free demo. We have free products. We have hundreds of articles and resources that people can check out really to help you run your business. And then on LinkedIn, Corina Ludwig on LinkedIn, and it's pretty easy to find. I'd love for you to reach out and tell me that you've heard the show, and hopefully it's had an impact on your business.
Awesome. We really enjoyed our conversation today, Corina, and wish you well. We'll make sure and link everything in the show notes, including the article you mentioned earlier about, what was it, like 100 ways to engage remote employees?
Yeah, maybe not quite 100, but definitely some top 50 in terms of remote employees. I can share that for sure.
Hey, we'll take that. 50 is great. Fantastic. We'll really enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks again to Corina for coming on the show and sharing your insights and resources. Didn't you just love the organization of that top 10 list? It's like a step-by-step recipe for success. I mean, it's so organized and so good. So thank you, Corina. Learn more about Corina and FunctionFox at functionfox.com. As always, all links, highlights, resources, and maybe a favorite recipe and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. Well, please subscribe and follow us on saasfuel.com. Whatever platform you like, it is there. And everyone who subscribes this week and follows the show, of course, it's always free, but everyone who subscribes this week will get a unique one-of-a-kind snowflake delivered to you this winter. Now, due to some supply chain issues, distribution may not all be equal. I mean, you might have to go pick yours up in, like, Buffalo, for example. They've got quite a few of them up there. But don't worry, there are plenty of those snowflakes to go around. So go in and subscribe, follow us on the podcast. Join us next week for our conversation with Massimo Aragoni, CEO of Bee, a product-led scale-up that's making email and landing page design easy and fast for anyone, even me, non-technical marketing kind of person. Bee's no-code visual builders are used over 6 million times a month and embedded in 1,000+ SaaS applications, maybe yours. Another SaaS founder who is changing the world. So come back and be sure to check it out next week. And until then, as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSfuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.